Excitement is building with the Olympics just 4 weeks away. But as Team USA discovered Thursday, there are still some problems that need to be ironed out. A hungry Team Canada burst from the gate with Mark Hampshire collecting a loose puck in front for a 1-0 lead. The Canadians led after the first period 2-1. But it was the U.S. that responded as Steve Leach's one-handed pass found Lane McDonald to knock the game at 2-2. Team USA added another goal for a 3-2 lead and gave Canada Coach King reason for concern as the third. But the Canadians tough and drew even on a wraparound stuffer by Gord Shervin. Now it was time for USA coach Davison to effect that worried look. However, only 38 seconds later, Peterson was smiling as Jim Johansson rerouted a feed by Jeff Norton. And once more, it appeared Team USA was in command. That command was short-lived, though, as Team Canada began to step into high gear. Taking advantage of a USA lapse, Shervin found himself alone in the slot to beat Mike Richter and tie the game for the fourth time. Midway through the period, Ken Berry burst past the USA defense, barreling himself and the puck through Richter for the winner. Canada tacked on an insurance goal for a 6-4 win and saluted goaltender Andy Moog, author of a 37-save performance, as the Olympic Games inch one step closer. Live from Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, Freedom Sports Network presents Team USA against Team Canada. And it's a lovely day in Detroit. Bright sunshine, temperature about 30 degrees outside, and about 12,000 expected to make their way inside to the home of the Detroit Red Wings, and for one day anyway, the home of Team USA. Hi, I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to another in our series of telecasts featuring Team USA. And it's getting to be just about that time when everybody's getting geared up and ready for the Olympics. In fact, the Olympic Games in Calgary will be starting just 4 weeks from today, and the United States will take the ice at the Olympic Saddle Dome, and they'll be taking on Austria. Working with me is Bill Clement, and let's pick up on that story we started to tell on Thursday in regard to the United States. Dave Peterson, the head coach, would like to settle on a #1 goaltender. He had Mike Richter play Thursday. He'll have Terreri playing today, Chris Terreri, formerly of the New Jersey Devils. Your assessment of Richter's performance now Thursday night when he gave up 6 goals in that 6-4 loss?
Well, I think it was a tough position, Al, for Mike Richter to be placed in. He is a very controlled stand-up goaltender who reacts well in situations that are predictable. Well, he faced a lot of unpredictable situations on Thursday night in Bloomington because of the defensive breakdowns that I think were a symptom of the fact that Team USA has faced a lot of competition that they have really beat up on, so they have controlled the game offensively. Richter is not a reaction goalie, but he played pretty well in spite of the breakdowns in front of him.
Now, Peterson said the better of the two would play Monday when these two teams meet again at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. If you're Terreri today, isn't there a part of you that says, hey, the other guy gave up 6 the other night, so the door is really wide open for me?
Right. I don't think there's any question that Chris Terreri is thinking not only of winning that start on Monday night, but also winning the hockey game today. And first things first, he is a goaltender and a member of a team, so he has to win this hockey game right here. And I think we should keep this thing in perspective, though, Al, and point out that it is just a matter of trying to make the decision as to who is going to play that first game against Austria. Dave Peterson is not necessarily going to decide now who is going to play throughout the whole Olympics.
Meanwhile, for Canada, we saw Andy Moog in goal the other night. He won the game 6-4. And today we'll take a look at Sean Burke, and they love him.
Yeah, they sure do. He has become somewhat of an international hockey personality, especially at the Izvestia tournament in Moscow over the Christmas holidays. In 2 games, he had to stop over 40 shots, one against Sweden, one against the Soviet Union. He did that in both cases, and Team Canada won those games to come home with the Izvestia Cup for the first time in 21 years. He's a fabulous goaltender.
Joining us today, we're delighted to have the big hero of the 1980 United States Olympic team, Mike Eruzione. Your thoughts, Michael?
Hey, Al, thank you very much. You know, it's interesting. You talk about how the goaltenders are preparing for the game. You talk to the 2 coaches, and they're both looking at the game a little differently. Dave King is trying to have his team play a little more physical. He showed the team a tape of the game the other night in Bloomington and wasn't too happy with the physical play. Thought the United States had taken the play to him a little more physically. But it's going to be difficult for them to play physical because they're only playing 3 lines. Dave Peterson, on the other hand, is going to go with 4 lines at the start, and he may move to 3 lines as the game moves along. One thing both coaches are looking for today is to have 3 solid periods of hockey, something that they did not get the other night in Bloomington.
And Peterson in particular would like to see 3 second periods strung together today, as this game is being brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. When you're looking for a great performance on road or off, it's got to be a Dodge. By Kmart, America's favorite store and proud sponsor of the 1988 USA hockey team. By Sure Antiperspirant. Get sure and be just as sure about odor as you are about wetness. And by Dianetics, America's #1 self-help bestseller. Coming up in just a moment, Team Canada against Team USA. Denise Illich-Light, Carol Illich, and Chris Illich on behalf of Mike Illich, the owner of the Detroit Red Wings. And there's Bob Johnson accepting one check of $50,000 from the Detroit Red Wings and another $50,000 from Little Caesars Pizza for a total of $100,000 to the Amateur Hockey Association of the United States. The Red Wings and Little Caesars solidly behind the U.S. team effort. And now we get set for live action from Detroit. The U.S. starts with a line of Stevens, Snuggerud, and Donatelli, with the U.S. going right to left here in the first period before a crowd of about 10,000. The icing is waved off. That's Stevens, the biggest of the USA team members, and Donatelli strapping forward along the boards. Norton, number 6, and Brown, number 3, start out as this defense pairing. And here's Schreiber trying to get it up ahead to Bradley, and the pass is too long, and Snuggerud takes over at his own blue line. Snuggerud coming in down the middle, over to Donatelli. He got it back to Snuggerud, but Dave wasn't looking, and back comes Team Canada. Long slapper, stick save by Terreri. Out it comes to the point, and it's kept in by Schreiber. And strapping forward is Boisvert. Out to the point. Shot comes in from the point, and another save. That one off the stick of number 5, Trent Yoni. And the U.S. now clearing the zone as Donatelli comes out with it and waits for some help. And Yoni regains possession. The big Team Canada defenseman is taken down. No penalty. And here's the U.S. 2-on-1 with McDonald's shot. And a save. McDonald now trying to sweep it in behind the net. Out it comes to the slot, but nobody from Team USA is there, and there's an offside as the puck had come out past the blue line.
There's a look at Chris Terreri. He is one of 2 goalies in this game, and let's face it, we only got 2, who belong to the New Jersey Devils. Chris Terreri played a few games with the Devils last year, and he is really a different style than his partner, Mike Richter. Terreri is a reaction goalie, and at the other end, Sean Burke, who was voted the most valuable goaltender at the Izvestia tournament in Moscow. Really has a lot of international experience and a lot of poise out for a guy his age.
And a tremendous physical difference between the two. Burke, a very imposing figure, and Terreri, small and somewhat slight. Terreri comes out, has trouble clearing it, and the loose puck is not put in off the stick of number 14, Mark Hampshire, who momentarily had the open net.
You know, Terreri took about a quarter of a second too long to get rid of that, and he tried to dump it out high instead of going for the safe play along the boards. So many goaltenders are watching the lead and taking the lead of Ron Hextall of the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that even these goalies here today will do a lot of the things that Hextall does.
And that time the U.S. able to get away with a mistake in its own end. And we'll be right back.
Just before we left you, a good scoring chance by Team Canada, but it was a result of a mistake here by Terreri. Looking at it a second time, that's Hampshire that just rifled it wide, but looking at it, Terreri had it jump over his stick just when he went to shoot it. He really didn't get as much wood on it, I don't think, Al, as he wanted to.
We're still scoreless, 2 minutes into the game. Brent Rutherford is the referee. Ed Snedden and John Pearson are the linesmen. This is Eric Weinrich, who's back after a bout of mononucleosis. He's number 5 for the U.S., sat out the other night in Bloomington. Puck taken by Serge Roy for Canada to Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk skating in behind the net, sets it up out in front, and they score! Vaughn Carpin on the setup from behind the net. Canada to lead 2:21 into the game.
You know, we drew some comparisons the other night to these 2 hockey teams. Al, one of them is that they both have good speed. Here's an indication of some Canada speed. As Ken Yaremchuk goes around, Eric Weinrich is able to one-hand it up front, but once again, breakdown. You can see all kinds of white jerseys there, but nobody is really taking care of business. Yaremchuk go around, to the left. Step for number 19 in red, who moves to the right and scores to give Canada a 1-0 lead.
Vaughn Carpenter, a member of the 1984 team, and again, we mentioned it the other night, it's no secret, Dave Peterson, if he's concerned about one thing, it's defense. And a perfect illustration right there. Janney able to carry the puck in, loses it, but the U.S. keeps it in the zone. Slap shot from Brown, and a save by Burke. Team Canada on top by a score of 1-0 with 17 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the first period. Just underway at Joe Louis Arena. Kept in from the point. Shot comes in from Felix. They try to set it up, and it's Terreri who gets his stick on it. It deflects behind the net. Back out now to Zarli Zalapski from the point, and another save. And Terreri loses his stick for the moment. Has time now to pick it up as the puck comes all the way back down to the other end. Zarli Zalapski trying to work it up ahead to Schreiber, too deep. Terreri clearing it to the side, and back comes Snuggerud with it. Over to Donatelli, a nice pass. Donatelli with a drop pass, the shot, and the save. Loose puck, and off the side of the net goes the rebound. Donatelli centers again, and we've got a whistle out in front as the net comes off the moorings.
Boy, there's no problem with Team USA's offensive transition. That time, Brian Leach came from absolutely nowhere to get up on that play. It looked even from here like it was a 2-on-2. Here's Brian Leach with the puck after that drop pass by Donatelli. Donatelli is jammed just a little bit. It's too far in between his feet. It's not really on his forehand on the tape. But that's one, there's Leach up on the play. You know, he was so far behind the play when it started, and that is an area that Dave Peterson doesn't have to worry about. It's the transition from the offensive posture on the ice to getting everybody to make that split-second transition to defense. It's a problem for Team USA, not what we just saw there. They go great going offensively.
Canada on top, 1-0. 16:20 to play in the first period. And Team Canada mounting this rush. Zalapski taking it all the way in, dropping it in behind for Bradley. Bradley pressured by Gosselin, a very physical player, number 4. And back comes the American team. Leach gets it up ahead to Snuggerud. And the pass back to Dave is too long, and control is taken by Boisvert. And a whistle to stop play after the offside, and we'll be right back after this message. The Canadian goal coming at 2:21. Vaughn Carpenter with the goal. Yaremchuk and Waugh pick up the assist. There are the officials. Brent Rutherford is the referee. And Ed Snedden and John Pearson are the linesmen today in Detroit. And this is the 7th of 10 meetings, pre-Olympic meetings between these two teams. Canada holding the edge 3-2 with one of the games ending in a 5-5 tie in Los Angeles. Out to the point, this is the converted forward Scott Young shooting it in back of the net. Ken Duggan gets his stick on it, and Canada able to clear it as Hampshire sends it out to center ice. Now Alan Bourbeau out of Harvard to Leach. This is Lane McDonald, who played at Harvard with Bourbeau. Shot in from the point, and the save. Eric Weinrich with the slap shot and the save by Sean Burke.
Looked as if Steve Leach got a piece of it. He was fighting out in the deep trench, but Sean Burke was there. He didn't actually move the puck laterally, and there's a look at Lane McDonald from Harvard, and I wonder how this trade has affected him. You know, his NHL rights went from Calgary to Hartford within the last week or so. Here's that shot by Weinrich. Boy, Burke covers a lot of ground, doesn't he, when he gets down into that butterfly position? And he even is tall enough that in that position he covers a great portion of the upper area of the net.
Well, his father can tell him all about trades. Lowell McDonald, for many years in the NHL. Pittsburgh, for the most part, Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that trade, Al, is that there's only one player from Harvard in the NHL, and that is Neil Sheehy. He was involved in that trade as well. Both McDonald and Sheehy were traded to the Hartford Whalers.
And our first penalty of the game coming up here as they send Yaremchuk off for Canada. The U.S. has a power play when we come back.
Say's power play because Ken Yaremchuk, right in the middle of your screen, 13 in red. You can see him there cross-checking Corey Millen. Boy, if once wasn't enough, twice certainly was. Referee Rutherford has whistled him off for high sticking, something that Dave Peterson has been very happy with in the last couple of months. Power play.
So for the U.S., Millen centering this line on the power play. This is Young out at the point. Young trying to fill the role that Dave Christian, in essence, filled in 1980 and taken away by Canada.
Right, he's Mr. Versatility out there. That's a good parallel. Dave Christian, able to play forward, also able to move back. When you have players that are able to move back and forth, it's kind of a security feeling for the coach, because you have to go into the Olympics with a roster, and if you have injuries, you're stuck.
Janney with Millen and Granato on the power play, with Young at the point along with Leach. Those are the 5 American skaters, and this is Leach trying to keep it in, but can't, and swept out to center ice by Canada, so the U.S. will have to regroup again. 1:15 remaining in the penalty. Canada on top 1-0. Janney, the Boston College star, in on the left wing to Granato, who has excelled on the power play throughout pre-Olympic competition, but cleared away by Team Canada again, and now 58 seconds left in the penalty. So the U.S. to start again. Brian Leach, the team captain, second youngest player on the team at 19. His right's owned by the Rangers. Up ahead to Janney, but he can't control it, and it's cleared all the way out to center ice by Burke. So the U.S. having a difficult time getting anything generated on the first power play of the game. Millen shoots it around the boards. It's Brown out at the point. He can't keep it in. And this is Carpenter who scored the goal, dropping it for Felix. Nice cross-ice pass, but off the skate. And the U.S. coming back the other way, 3-on-1. Nice drop pass to Janney. Janney over to Millen when he should have shot the puck. Now it comes in, deflected in front, and Felix is able to clear it.
Boy, they will look at that one, Al, on the film and say it should have gone to Corey Milne coming through the neutral zone. The whole play bogged down when the puck wasn't headmanned, and as a result, Team Canada was able to catch up. That's tough when you have a 3-on-1 and you don't even get a shot on goal from it.
Burke made the shot off Snegerud, or made the save off a shot by Snegerud just as the penalty expired. The team's now at equal strength as ЮMoney sends it around the boards for Canada. They lead 1-0, 13 minutes to play in the first period. Nice pass out in front. Now it's Brown, and he's able to tie it up along the boards, and that stops it.
At him there, but elected to continue. Now Corey Millen has had to slow down. Janney tries to get the puck over to Corey Millen, and the key was that the Canadian backchecker was able to catch the entire 3-on-1. They did salvage a shot from Brian Leach, but it wouldn't have been as effective as a 3-on-1.
So for the U.S. now, Lane McDonald passes it in around the net, and Leach tries to clear it. That's Steve Leach. But Canada putting the pressure on as Boisvert gets it back out to the point. Roy sends it in, loose in front for the moment. Boisvert with it. And the Americans trying to take the pressure off. But Bradley is there. He's checked by Gosselin. Bourbeau out in front, loses the puck. It's almost put in by Schreiber, but he couldn't get good wood on it. Then the slap shot comes in. Rebound and a save.
Well, we talked about the difference between Mike Richter and Chris Terreri. Terreri, a reaction goalie. And we'll probably be able to get a look at some of those reflexes and the reactions here, even from a seated position. You see Steve Leach, that little stick handle almost cost Team USA a goal there as Wally Schreiber moved in to take it away. Keep your eye on Terreri. One save, he's down, he gets back up. Well, that's excellent goaltending. And I think that Terreri would have been better suited to playing that game the other night, Al, that Mike Richter was placed in. Although, by the looks of things, we might have as many defensive breakdowns tonight as we had the other night.
That has been the pattern here in the first period. It cost the U.S. a goal early, and good goaltending by Terreri saves off what would have been another one here.
You bet. There was something that I didn't point out, and that was at the side of Terreri, Guy Gosselin and his defense partner were doing a good job of keeping people to the outside, at least so Terreri could see that second shot that he wasn't able to control from the rebound.
Penalty on Leach for the U.S., so the Canadians with their first power play. Dave King, who was the head coach in 1984 when Team Canada began the Olympics with that victory over the United States, but eventually wound up fourth, just missing a medal.
He is a strong disciplinarian, a very organized man, and he wasn't real happy with his team's performance about midway through that game. And Dave Peterson, a real contrast personality-wise to Dave King. More relaxed, laid back, never seems to get upset about things, but I don't think anybody should mistake that for a man that's very thorough and dedicated to what's happening here.
With Leach in the penalty box for high sticking, the shot comes in from Roy, and the save by Terreri, and now we've got another penalty coming up here. believe, Claude Vilgrain going off, and it is. So the teams will be at equal at 8:08. So we have 11:52 remaining in the first period. The teams are at equal strength. There's a 21-second difference now in the penalties. 1:39 remaining in the Leach penalty, and now Vilgrain starts the 2-minute penalty. So the U.S. will eventually have a 21-second man advantage. 1-0 Canada on top in the first period from Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, and another penalty coming up right now on Canada. So the U.S. at this moment will take a man advantage, and we've had 3 penalties now called in the last 35 seconds.
Well, you know, Al, on Vilgrain's penalty, it was that man that just jumped into the penalty box, Kenny Yaremchuk, that argued it more than Vilgrain did. So he was a guy that was really wound up, but he didn't show a lot of discipline. He ended up going out there and whacking somebody instead of channeling that adrenaline that he had into something constructive, and Dave King certainly isn't happy about it. And you know, this to me is a far different Team Canada than we saw in the early going of that game the other night. We had pointed out in Bloomington that they had 5 o'clock wake-up calls in Calgary, jumped on a 6:50 flight, they had to connect in Salt Lake, and then arrived in Bloomington a little after lunch and basically looked a little rough around the edges for the first half of that hockey game.
U.S. now with a man advantage as they skate 4 against 3. Snuggerud centering this line. He's got Leach out there with him, and Young with Donatelli as well. So those are the 4 Team USA players. As Shriver stays out there along with Zalapsky and Yoni. Those are the 3 Canada skaters. Leach coming in on the right side, dropping the puck, and out in front Donatelli couldn't get good wood on it, and the save is made by Burke.
You know, Burke threw his leg out and just about overcorrected. Donatelli didn't get it all. He just shot it off the tip of his stick. Snuggerud feeds Donatelli. Watch him turn around. There, just a little tip shot. You could see it kind of fooled Burke, didn't it? Not sure he realized what direction it was coming in, and it just about snuck between his legs.
Threw him a changeup.
Yeah, and that was one of those times, you know, when you get in front of the net that close, you honestly don't know, unless you have peripheral vision like a Wayne Gretzky, how much time you have. That time Donatelli had a little more time than he thought, but sometimes it's difficult to pick up on. You just turn around and shoot, and after the fact you say, man, if I'd only stepped to the right and backhanded it, but hindsight, as usual, 2020.
Right now, as we prepare for the face-off, 107 remaining in the U.S. penalty, 128 remaining in the penalty to Vilgrain of Canada, and 140 in the Yaremchuk penalty. U.S. with a man advantage, skating 4 against 3 for the next minute. And then it will be 5 against 3 for about 20 seconds. This is Millen skating all the way in. Torrey comes in deep. Waugh takes him out of the play. Millen trying to get his stick on it and can, and Waugh able to, with some help from Habscheid, clear it to center ice. And let's get a comment from Mike Eruzione. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I'll tell you, Corey Millen just got labeled right in front of me, but more so on that play by Clark Donatelli. From right where I am, it's interesting to see that he thought somebody was coming on him. I think, Bill, you talked about having that vision. He kind of panicked a little. I think if Clark knew that he was going to be wide open, he might have had a little more time to maybe make a move or do something with the puck. But as soon as it came to him, I think he anticipated somebody coming at him, and he just tried to flick it.
Here's a look at that hit on Corey Millen. That's the one that was right near you, Mike, and that's Serge Roy who rode him off the play. Pretty good defensive play. You know, Dave King is not blessed with real strong defensive defensemen on this Team Canada. Serge Roy, more known for offense. That time, he defended against Team USA's top skater, fastest skater up front pretty well. No way Millen was going to beat him on that play.
U.S. still with a man advantage. And that will increase in another 34 seconds. That much time is left in the Steve Leach penalty. Ryan Leach over to Young. Tony Granato now. Leach again, and the shot is deflected off the glass. Leach scrapping for it in the corner, and now Millen comes over to help out. Corey takes control of the puck. 10 seconds left in the Leach penalty, and that'll give the U.S. a 2-man advantage. Slap shot, and a save again by Burke off the stick of Young. And now Steve Leach comes out of the penalty box, and the U.S. has a 2-man advantage for the next 20 seconds. Out in front, Millen has it saved again by Burke. So Burke, a busy man, equal to every task. And Canada able to hold off the U.S. with 10:09 to play in the period and 17 seconds remaining in one Team Canada penalty, 31 seconds remaining in the other. a reminder, very much your support needed to keep the United States hockey program alive and healthy, and you can contribute by calling that number, 1-800-331-2000, to help support amateur hockey in the United States through the Amateur Hockey Association of the United States. And interesting to think about it, 3 Olympic Games coming up over the next 6 years. Calgary in '88, Albertville, France in '92, and yet to be determined 94 when they go to an alternating schedule between Winter and Summer Olympics.
You see the territory that Sean Burke covers when he goes down, kind of in that split situation. Look at the extension. There's no way you're going to sneak it by him low once he goes down into that split kind of posture. Got some help from one of his teammates, but no question in my mind that Team Canada has a physical presence out here tonight that they did not have in Bloomington. Part of that is because they're better rested. Another reason is Dave King has asked them to be more physical against Team USA.
2-man advantage for the next 10 seconds. Brian Leach fanning on the shot. 5 seconds left in the 2-man advantage. Leach out in front now to Young. They try to work it in. Behind the net now. Bill Gray is out of the box. It's a 1-man advantage, and then Young nearly fans on the shot. Burke covers up, and a whistle stops play, and there's 5 seconds now left in the 1-man advantage, and these two teams picking up where they left off in Bloomington on Thursday night.
Well, you know, as if things weren't bad enough for Team Canada being down a man, almost this entire sequence of what we were just looking at, Zarley Zalewski had lost his stick. 25. There he is behind the net. See him coming around without a stick? You can't imagine how much you resemble a fish out of water. There he grabs Steve Leach. Basically, the best thing you can do is grab someone and eliminate someone, and that's what Zalewski did. But Team USA all over Team Canada, basically because Zalewski had lost his stick here. Finally, the puck comes back to Leach. No, it wasn't Leach. It was someone who was a right-hand shot. He fanned on the shot.
And let's get a word again from Mike.
Alan, Bill, you know, Canada has played a little more physical than you said that they did the other night. But I'm curious if they've got something against Corey Millen. Any chance they get there, kind of rubbing the gloves in his face and giving him a little extra shove. And I'm wondering if something happened the other night in Bloomington that may have caused them to kind of go after Corey a little more than some of the other players.
I don't know, Mike. I would think if they were going to go after anybody, it would be Scott Young, because he's the player that cross-checked Bob Joyce into the net, and Joyce is in an accident tonight. I don't know, a guy like Corey Millen, you know, Mike, will get on your nerves sooner or later. He's like a little a mosquito that's on your shoulder all the time. You can't seem to swat him. He's just a little guy, but he's a thorn in their side. And I think he frustrates them more than anything because he has such skills, but he's such a small guy.
Meanwhile, Yaremchuk out of the box. The teams are at equal strength. Shriver's shot is wide. And it's Steve Leach who's unable to clear it. Number 7, Wally Shriver, scrapping for it. Canada on top, 1-0, 9-10. Remaining in the first period. Brown trying to clear it. And can't, as the puck comes loose. Bradley picks it up. He has it blocked in front by Norton. And back comes the United States with Brown leading the charge. Youngest player on the team, and he dumps it into the end, and the U.S. changes on the fly. And up it comes, and Chorsky can't handle it. He loses the puck. Canada coming in over the blue line, but 2 Team Canada players were offside, and we'll have a face-off in the neutral zone with 8:46 to play in the first period.
You know, at the end of that sequence, I'm not sure anybody picked up on it in that scramble. Sean Burke came out and actually tried to jump in there and land a punch as well. Maybe that's the similarity between Sean Burke and Ron Hextall. I asked Dave King to describe him, and he said he's a lot like Hextall, perhaps not as aggressive, but in that particular exchange, he jumped right in there.
Guy Gosselin, number 4, who is paired normally with Brian Leach on defense. At the moment, he's paired with Eric Weinrich. Weinrich for Brad Jones, who can't control it. And Waugh gets it back up to Yaremchuk, who wheels. And the U.S. takes possession at center ice only momentarily, however, as Duggan, who was recently added to the team, at least for the moment, shoots it in around the net. Now Janney for the U.S. as the American team comes back the other way. Chorsky, number 7, he sat out the game in Bloomington on Thursday. Brad Jones, who had a cup of coffee with Winnipeg in the NHL last year, played in 4 games, and then was hurt in a freak injury when a puck broke his jaw as he was sitting on the bench, blindsided him. Half shot, number 14. behind the net, along with Ken Berry, who scored 2 goals in Bloomington. And now it comes loose for Norton, who's able to shovel it up ahead to Snuggerud, to Donatelli. Donatelli comes in over the right wing. Drop pass for Stevens. Stevens in behind the net. Centers it out in front to Brown, and nearly swept in by Donatelli, but he couldn't get good wood on it. Now Felix swiping at it, but can't clear the zone. Gets another chance and still can't clear the zone, and now they do.
Boy, Jeff Norton had to stand in there. He knocked it back into the zone twice, and then when he had to pull out, he did it just at the right time. He is a defenseman that's going to be counted upon heavily by Dave Peterson in Calgary, Al. He has matured so much in the last 3 months and is really in control of all aspects of his game right now.
This is Boisvert skating in, hounded by Leach, back out to the point. It's slapped in by Ioane and deflected wide. In the corner, and back out to Redmond at the point, and it's knocked down there by Granato with Johansson. Johansson comes in over the line, trailed by Granato. He can't get it back to Tony. And Ioane scraps with it along the boards. Puck comes loose, and a whistle because Ioane gets into it along the board with Johansson. So that stops play with the score 1-0 Canada. Back after this message. Dave Peterson watching his team in arrears at the moment.
Come on, let's go.
1-0, and we have him, Mike.
So far, let's keep working.
He has just watched coincidental penalties as Ioane has gone off along with Johansson. 2 minutes each for roughing. And in international hockey, you lose a man and it's 4 against 4.
You can imagine that there's a lot of room out there on the bigger rink. This is a rink that's 200 by 85. The international rink, the Olympic-sized rink, is 100 feet wide. So that's 15 feet in width to work with. When you get out there 4 men aside, you can do just about whatever you want, and it's difficult to run into traffic.
There's your Remchuk skating through the defense over to Vilgren. In the corner, Young and Weinrich, and the puck now loose, and it's Corey Millen who comes in to sweep it away and start the charge back the other way. To Young, in over the blue line, drop pass to Granato, and the save by Burke. And Granato couldn't get his stick on the rebound. Shot in now by Gosselin, but it's Roy who comes up with possession for Team Canada. He goes cross-ice to Zalapsky, who slap shot a stick save and then covered up by Terreri. With 5:24 remaining in the period.
You know, Terreri hasn't had to face some of the situations that Richter did the other night in Bloomington. Keep your eye on Sean Burke. You see him lean to the side to try and get his eye on the puck. Tony Granato did a real good job of getting it away quickly. There's no question. You can really tell the goal scorers when they get the puck. Now, he had to shoot it quickly, and it was difficult to tell from that shot because he was being closed in on. There was a guy that was only giving him so long to shoot the puck. The scorers get those away. The guys that are the checkers usually have trouble getting those away.
What do you think overall of the U.S. effort in the first period today?
Other than that one breakdown, it's been a reasonably even game between these two teams, and it just brings out, I think, Al, illustrates the point that they are very evenly matched. And in a sense, the Izvestia Cup, when we talk about Canada winning it, to me is almost as great an advantage for the U.S. because they know they have a team that's comparable to Team Canada. And if Team Canada can go over and win the Izvestia against the best in the world, I'm sure Team USA is saying, hey, we can do it too. Maybe we'll just have to save it for Calgary.
This is Borbo skating in. Borbo gets taken down, no penalty. And Canada starts to rush back the other way, but the pass is too long, and the U.S. able to work it back to center zone now as Canada regroups. Redmond to Felix. Now Redmond with a lot of NHL experience, as many of the Canadians have on their resumes. This is Leach, though, who takes it away, and his shot is well wide. And Canada able to move it up ahead now as Bradley comes in with Gosselin, and Gosselin able to get his stick on it, and it trickles wide. Now out to Zalapsky. He gets it over to Bradley, and his shot is blocked very nicely by Leach. Up to Johansson. Johansson skating in, ridden out of the play by Zalapski. Janney now gets taken out of the play by Schreiber, who's able to kick it out of the zone. Claude Vilgrave shooting it in, and Brown back to get it. Under 4 minutes to play, first period. Team Canada leading Team USA 1-0 here in Detroit. Vilgrave, and he's able to drop it, and the shot is wide from number 8, Bradley. Shot in now from the point, and high off the glass, and the U.S. comes back the other way as Janney momentarily has it taken away, but maintains possession at center ice. Pachorski behind the net. Stevens scrapping. And Burke will cover up, and that'll stop play with 3:18 remaining in the first period. So it's still Canada 1 and the United States 0. With 22, and you see Ronning, number 6 on your program in that graphic. He's been cut. Saved by Burke. Off the faceoff, swept in front, and then fanning on the shot was Stevens. And we've got a penalty coming up. And again, the two teams have gotten to know each other quite well. And it's Stevens this time with Habshai. And Ioane wants a piece of the action as well. And there's Stuggerud in your picture in addition.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Kevin Stevens wasn't coming to the aid of Clark Donatelli, who was in a battle with number 5, Trent Ioane, in front. There you can see Clark Donatelli. He's going to pick up part of his equipment that protects a reasonably important part of his body. That's his head. Try and pick it up, at least some of the action in front. There's a pass. Stevens had a shot at it at one point. Donatelli had a chance for it. You can't see, perhaps that is a penalty right there. There's Ioane in front with Donatelli. Boy, you can tell that this game, to me, Al, has more intensity than the other night. There's more clutching, there's more grabbing, there's more intention out there than there was in Bloomington.
The penalty on Serge Roy, and also Habshai going off as well, and there's Stevens will go into the penalty box. So the U.S. will have a man advantage and be skating 4 against 3 for the next 2 minutes. And let's check in again with Mike Eruzione.
Bill and Al, I haven't had the pleasure of watching Burke play goal at all. I've heard so much about him. But from where I'm standing, I am almost directly behind him. And you are so right, Bill, about how much area he covers. Even when he goes down, they don't have much room to get the puck by him. I'm really impressed with not only his agility, but his size in terms of being able to cover up when he looks like he's out of position. He gets himself in a spot, and because of his body, he just covers all areas. He looks awfully good.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. You know, very often when you reach a certain size in goal, you sacrifice a little bit of mobility. But shooters, even in the NHL, will tell you that when you have to come in and face a guy that's as big, that's as tall as Sean Burke, and covers as much net, it's intimidating to face them. They would much rather face a smaller goalie.
Habshai and Stevens each went off for roughing after the initial penalty call on Waugh for cross-checking. 3:07 remaining in the U.S. 4 against 3 with Young and Millen and Granato and Leach, the quartet for the USA here. Burke leaving it for Boisvert, but it's Millen trying to work it out, and he does. Leach sends it back out toward the point, and Young has to wheel, and it's all he can do to keep it in the zone. Now it's Millen setting it up. Young from out in front. Back it comes to Corey Millen and off his skate, so they'll have to set it up again.
You know, they really like to open that lane up. Well, there's a different kind of lane there. A couple of seams out there. Watch Team USA try to draw the top guy on high angle up, then they'll move it to the side and directly across for a quick shot.
Meanwhile, after Waugh covers up, we've got another scrap. Ioane.
I think it's Tony Granato that's in there.
Yep, Granato, I believe.
You know, we both talked this morning about, there's Tony Granato, but how impressed we are with Granato. He's not a big player, but he has seemed to develop that fire under him over the last couple of months. By the way, Mike Eruzione standing right down behind this action. Mike?
You know, Al and Bill, it's right down here in front of me. It really started when ЮMoney gave Tony Granato an extra couple of little pushes in the face. And then Sean Burke, who had already froze the puck behind the net, he kind of jumped into it. And you're right, tempers are a little tight and a little high right now. And I was surprised to see Burke kind of getting involved because ЮMoney was really the instigator in the whole incident. It was interesting to see how the penalties are called.
I don't know. Sean Burke jumped into that fracas in front of the net earlier in the game. He's pretty wound up. But you know, time's a wasting.
First you get to stop, stoppage of play, all right? So I got 2 in there for White, 14 on the rough. I got the goaltender. For what? Who went behind the net? Who started everything? Right? You get to, no.
That's an international rule.
No, wait a minute.
Stop the fight
I didn't give him a relax. I didn't give him a penalty for that. I gave him a penalty for rough, and he had his glove in there. He hit 3 guys.
I know.
So, okay,
4 guys hit him.
Okay, here's what we got. We got 1 and 5's got the roughs on you guys. 2 and 14 on you guys for the rough.
Here's how it all started. Watch 21 white and 5 red. Tony Granato from the United States and Trent Yanni. Here it is behind the net.
That's what you call world-class audio, though.
You bet. No, I was saying time's a wasting. These games are precious for these teams. They have to start making decisions. They have to start establishing some continuity, some success.
Okay.
You heard Brent Rutherford. We know we're going to have at least 4 roughing penalties. And you heard him say, well, what do you mean what's it for on number 1? He started it.
Tony Granato from Downers Grove, Illinois. For some reason, I will never forget that name. Maybe Tony's mom and dad aren't speaking to me any longer for having forgotten his hometown when I was just about to do that interview with him the other night. Interesting situation that we don't hear a lot about as we're covering these games is the families of these players that are trying to get up to Calgary. Al, Tony Granato's the oldest of 6 kids. And when I talked to his mom about going to Calgary, she said, yeah, we're going. And I said, where are you going to stay? She said, you know, we tried to go up there and stay in a hotel. You know how much it was going to cost for the family to go and watch Tony play? $22 grand. $22,000. So they got involved in the Adopt-A-Parent program where people take you in, entire families into their homes. And apparently they're all set up with a great family that lives on the outskirts of Calgary. So Tony and his mom and dad and all the brothers and sisters will be there.
Meanwhile, we'll get this all sorted out in this NHL-like first period.
You know, what's a great save here by Sean Burke. Blurry as it was, a great save. He's quick. Does he remind you at all of Ken Dryden?
I was going to ask you to distinguish between the two because they're both big and imposing. What's the difference between the two?
So far, Burke really reminds me of Dryden the way he stands there because he bends at the waist and bends over. He doesn't bend at the knees and stay upright, so he bends over at the waist. From what I've seen, I'm not sure that Sean Burke doesn't have a touch more agility than Ken had. As great as Ken was, Burke seems to be a crossover between a classic stand-up and a guy that's not afraid at times to spread out, to butterfly, and to flop around a little bit, but he's very quick for a man his size.
Another difference would be if Burke has ever in his entire life picked up a check, he'd be at least 1 ahead of Dryden. Meanwhile, let's take a look at head-to-head how these two teams have fared. They started on October 10th. As you can see, the games have been close. Never more than a 2-goal difference. And Canada leads 3-2, and 1 game wound up in a tie. Meanwhile, it's now 3 against 3 after the penalties, and we'll get them sorted out for you as Jones skates in behind the net and can't center it. And back come the Canadians with Serge Boisvert. Cross ice to Zalapsky, and he has to come back. And the U.S. will have another penalty, so Canada gets the extra skater. As Zalapsky can afford to reset the situation here, Felix goes back, and for the moment now, Canada with 4 skaters against 3 with a penalty coming up on the United States. So Canada trying to get it started as Yaremchuk moves it up along the sides, and he gets taken down. And now finally, as the U.S. takes possession, and Norton throws an elbow, another stoppage of play in what has been a very testy first period.
I wonder if Kenny Yaremchuk wants to bite off a little bit of Jeff Norton. If he does, he's going to have a mouthful. That is one big, strong defenseman, number 6 for Team USA, Jeff Norton out of University of Michigan. Plays for Red Berenson's Wolverines. And I remember the first thing Berenson told me about him when I asked him about Jeff Norton, he said he was a man the first day he stepped onto campus, and that was 3 years ago.
Let's sort out the penalties, the initial penalties. Burke and Ioane for roughing, Leach and Young both for roughing for the United States. And now, it's standing room only in the penalty box. That's all we can tell you at the moment. And it's 3 against 3 again, with seemingly half of each roster in the box. It's Bradley to Redmond now. The U.S. with Norton and Donatelli and Brown, the trio.
Now, this is a timeout where you have to have your good skaters out there. Norton's mobility has even gotten better since he started at training camp at Lake Placid this summer. Donatelli, the man with the puck, definitely able to move around. And Greg Brown has great skating.
Donatelli skates all the way in. Trying to get it over to Brown, and he couldn't get away an effective shot, and Canada able to clear it.
And on the other side, Canada now, Brian Bradley with the puck. They also had Craig Redmond and Felix out there. They also had good mobility. You can't get caught with somebody that's not very mobile out there when you're a 3-on-3 situation.
Gosselin taking Brown down beautifully. Gosselin now with the puck. Teams again skating 3 against 3 with 31 seconds remaining in the first period. Canada on top in this penalty-filled period. 1-0. Gosselin cross ice to Corey Millen. Millen skating in backhander and a save by Burke. And Zalewski comes up with it and clears it up ahead to Schreiber. 15 seconds remaining in the period. Schreiber up ahead to Duggan and a glove save by Terreri, who moves it up quickly to Weinrich. Weinrich comes in on the left wing with 8 seconds. Weinrich tried to slip it in front and couldn't, and it's broken up by Team Canada. Duggan has possession with 1 second now remaining in the period, and that's the end of the first period. Plenty of action, a lot of penalties, but just 1 goal in the first period, and that was scored early on by Vaughn Carpin at the 2:21 mark. Penalties galore, and the teams will still be skating 3 against 3 when the second period gets underway at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. So at the end of